Welcome to Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy, where we seek to educate, motivate, and inspire professionals into starting their own healthcare businesses. Learn from leading healthcare entrepreneurs and other business experts as they share their journey and provide a glimpse into their playbooks for success. Loaded with valuable insights and actionable strategies, this show will guide you on your path to freedom. Now, please welcome your host, entrepreneur, healthcare practitioner, and MBA, Jason Duprat.
This episode is sponsored by my free presentation for the Ketamine Academy. If you're tired of long hours, constantly being on call, or having to give up your nights, weekends, and holidays, all for an employer that only thinks of you as a productivity number that they're trying to maximize, then it's time to break free from the hospital grind, become your own boss, and finally take control of your professional trajectory. It's time you start your own practice. I know it sounds really scary, maybe even a little impossible. I get it. You got student loans, you're working tons of hours, and you may not even be a physician. Well, I am here to tell you that it's absolutely possible. Starting my own clinic was exactly how I started my healthcare entrepreneur career, and there's one specific type of clinic that almost anybody can open. Ketamine therapy is one of the most promising treatments in the fight against depression, PTSD, and chronic pain that we've ever seen. And thousands of patients across the country are looking for clinics in their area. The problem is that there aren't enough yet, and these patients need someone like you to open a ketamine practice in your hometown. Go to ketamineacademy.com/presentation for a no-cost 60-minute training on how to gain more freedom by opening up your own clinic. On the presentation, you'll discover why opening your own private clinic is a better decision than working more overtime or going back to school for another degree, why this one specific niche clinic is the easiest to open and doesn't require a bunch of cash to start, and how anyone can open this type of clinic, even if you're not a physician, by just following a few simple steps. So to register for this free training, just go to ketamineacademy.com/presentation. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy podcast. I am your host, Jason Duprat, and we are back here for another Tactical Tuesday episode. On these episodes, I share some of the information that we've been learning, implementing, any sort of tactical takeaways that might help you accelerate the startup and or growth of your business. And today I want to talk about challenges. So I was actually listening to a podcast, which I often do. I love listening to podcasts. It's such a fun way an easy way to learn on the go. I spend actually a lot of my time each week learning, reading, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, because that's what it takes to get better at this game. So I was listening to a podcast, and there was a guest on the show whose name was Pedro. I forget his last name, but he specializes in running challenges and has done incredibly well with that sort of model. And so after hearing that podcast, knowing that I was going to be here on what's called restriction of movement with the Navy, so we're basically at a hotel at Portsmouth, and it's basically a quarantine almost. Well, it is a quarantine, but it's a little bit loose. We're allowed to go outside, and we don't have to be locked in our room. But it's pretty much a quarantine, 14 days, and I was wondering what in the heck was I going to do with my time? I had nothing planned out. So I heard this podcast, and I was like, a challenge. That sounds fun. That sounds interesting. I want to try it. I have no idea what I'm doing, but this guest who was on the podcast, Pedro, was actually running a 5-day challenge. And so I figured I would just join his challenge, learn what he was doing, sort of model it, and run it right in our Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy Facebook group. So that is what we did. Pretty much no planning other than creating an outline, having my team look over it. And that's sort of how we launched it. We were 1 day behind. So our challenge started 1 day after Pedro's challenge. And so we were basically modeling what he was doing. He was 1 day ahead of ours. So he started his on a Monday. I think we started ours on a Tuesday. So that's essentially what I decided to do. And it's been a really, really great experience. So I would highly recommend that you at least look into doing challenges. They're really fun. They're engaging. I was just looking up the Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy Facebook statistics. If you look up in your group insights, it really breaks down a ton of information for you. But the long and short of it is that over the last 8 days, which is the length of the challenge, our group engagement has gone up 589%. And in just the last week, the volume of posts has been through the roof. So posts, comments, and reactions. And that's really the ultimate goal of having a Facebook group, is to get lots of engagement going, build a community around your topic or your idea. And so this was a really great experience. Our challenge that we put on was free. Most people, like Pedro, his challenges are paid or they're monetized in some fashion. We had no plan to monetize this whatsoever. We just wanted to try and see how many people would participate in a completely free challenge with zero sales, no plan to monetize whatsoever, which normally in normal circumstances, if I had stuff to do other than sit here in a hotel, I probably wouldn't have gone for the free model. But because I had nothing else to do, I was like, let's just check it out. Let's see what we can come up with for this challenge and see what kind of engagement we get. And then, maybe we can do a paid challenge down the road, which is what Pedro does. So his essential model, and I'll just sort of break it down for you, since he's the challenge expert, I'm not. We were just sort of watching what he was doing, watching and learning. So he runs a lot of paid Facebook ads to drive people to his free challenge. And it's free in that you can participate for free, but immediately upon registration, he upsells, I think it's a $17 1 hour training that he provided to some mastermind groups. So right off the bat, I wanted to purchase that just to see what it was. Decent training. Was it worth $17? Probably not, because it was mostly just, there was no strategy or tactical type stuff in there. It was all just sort of summarizing the benefits of a challenge. And so that was the sort of front end sale. And so $17, you start working through the challenge on day 3. He is, he called it the 5-day movement maker challenge. And, initially he talked a lot about the benefits of a challenge. Pretty much every day he got on. Around day 3, he started to bring in some guests who had done well with challenges. And then he offered his course for sale. Well, actually, before that, he actually offered a VIP access to the recordings. And then I think he did like a group coaching call. So you could get onto the VIP plan, get access to all of his recorded challenge videos for that 5 days for like $97. And I'm sure he had a lot of takers on that. He had, I want to say in one of the videos, he told us he had generated 18,000 people to join his challenge through his leads generation system. So I'm sure he was getting lots of those $17 sales on the front end, probably a decent number of conversions for the $97 access to all the recordings plus a group coaching. And he further monetized it by about, on day 3 or 4, I think it was day 3, he introduced his challenge course that he was going to be creating. And that was going to have all the tactical details, step-by-step sort of thing on how to do a challenge. And he was essentially pre-selling that program. So it hadn't even been created. He mentioned that he was going to sell it for $5,000 once it was created and recorded, but essentially he would let you go through it as a beta student for $2,000. So he had a really well-honed plan to monetize his challenge. Although it was free, there were lots of opportunities to be sold to. It was interesting. It wasn't salesy at all, and it was tons of value. And he really sort of drives home the fact that being, live in front of an audience, even if it's a cold traffic, being live in front of an audience, providing tons of value for however many days in a row, whether it's 5 to 8 or even longer, that really generates the sort of rapport that's needed to generate sales. And so that's his big philosophy on it. And he actually had one more sales opportunity at the very end for those who enrolled in his course. So we had so much fun doing the challenge for free in our group with no sort of sales strategy. I actually purchased his program. As you guys probably know, if you listen to any of the other episodes, I'm a huge believer in investing in yourself and learning. So I can't even tell you how many dollars I've spent on online courses just to learn tips and tricks and new angles to improve our business. So I did it again. I purchased his course. On the back end of his course purchase is another sale, which is to get, he called it elite. So you're an elite student. And if you purchase this, I want to say it was another like $1,000 or $2,000. But for the elite group, he did live small group coaching, supposedly. I think he said he was limiting it to a certain number of people, like 20 or something. Not sure if that was real or if that was a marketing tactic. But so he had, like I just mentioned, multiple ways to essentially generate revenue from his challenge, both high ticket and very low ticket sort of sales created as a result. And it was very interesting. He had delivered a ton of value. He brought on a bunch of guest speakers that are sort of famous in the internet space. He partnered with John Lee Dumas to provide an extra bonus lesson. So pretty good experience watching that whole thing go down. And we replicated a lot of what he was doing minus the sales part because we just wanted to put some free value out there and test the whole system out. I'm a huge fan of that. So I just wanted to share with you essentially what we learned. And that's that challenges seem to be a really great model to generate sales and to provide value to your audience. And pretty much everybody who's participating is getting some sort of value. And those who want to go further with the challenge provider can purchase either from low ticket offers all the way up to the high ticket offer for more individualized help. And so pretty cool model. We're planning to do a challenge again. We're thinking. So the challenge we did in our Facebook group was to help people find their online business ideas. So as far as like selling their knowledge. So that was kind of like laying the foundation actually for those who want to create an online course, because that's going to be our next offering. Is we're going to put together a challenge on creating and marketing an online course. And we haven't really figured out the exact structure yet. Like I said, I'm in Pedro's course now, so we're going to be diving in a little bit more on how best to structure it. So like I'd mentioned, he does his free. There's other people who do pay, like right off the bat, you have to pay to get in, which if you listen to any of my podcasts before too, I'm kind of a believer in doing paid. Because when people pay, they pay attention. If you do it for free, one thing I notice is that the drop-off rate, because it is free, people aren't as invested in completing the challenge. So we had a lot of people do day one, less do day two, less do day three, just a steady decline of people actually following through. And I get it, people have other commitments in their life, but I feel like if they would have paid for it, it probably would have delivered better results to them because they would have been more committed to actually get in there and finish each challenge every day. We try to incentivize by doing raffles, and Pedro does the same thing. He does big raffles, which he can afford to do because he is monetizing it in multiple ways. But we just offered some Amazon gift cards, some one-on-one coaching calls with myself and with Francis on our marketing team. So we're trying to incentivize a little bit, but not as much as Pedro does, and certainly it's not as much incentivization as if somebody were to pay to be in the challenge. So if you guys are interested in that sort of challenge or implementing a challenge, I highly recommend you look into possibly implementing one because it's a lot of fun. Way different than doing a pre-recorded online course and selling via a pre-recorded webinar. There's like not a lot of human interaction in that model. And I think over time, that model is probably going to fall by the wayside because there's just not enough accountability. There's not enough interaction. And so people are going to have to step it up here as far as online course creators, online educators who are essentially selling their knowledge online. And I think challenges are going to be probably the future of doing that. It's because there's so much engagement and value delivered. So anyways, guys, if you guys want to check out my challenge, it's going to be up in the Facebook group for probably another week. We've set up the Facebook group to show units like a course. And so you can take a look at it there. It's 8 days. So you can still jump in. You just won't be able to partake in the raffle because the raffle is going to happen before this podcast even airs. But you can still get some free value and learn how to formulate your business idea, create a Facebook group, and leverage your Facebook group to hone your business idea. So that's what our challenge was all about. You can still check it out in the Facebook group. You just go to Facebook in the search bar and type in Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy, and you can find it in there. Also, one thing that we will be doing is dividing our Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy Facebook group into 2 subgroups. So they're going to have the same name. So if you search them, they're both going to come up. One's going to be Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy. It's going to be a group for brick and mortar businesses. And the other one's going to be a group for, digital businesses. The topics discussed for digital versus brick and mortar are very different. And so I think having 2 Facebook groups to sort of keep the group super valuable to whoever's doing a digital business, or if they're in the brick and mortar one, there's just going to be more value delivered because they don't have to sort through posts and comments that they're not really interested in. If you're interested in doing both business models, then you can join both Facebook groups. So that's how that's going to be coming out here in the next week or so. We're going to be rolling that out. So I'll make some posts in the Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy Facebook group on how exactly that's going to play out. And then I'll put links to the new group. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast. I hope you consider doing and partaking in a challenge in the near future. I think it's a great way to move your business forward. But anyways, guys, we will catch you on the next episode. Have a great one.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy. Want to connect with more like-minded healthcare entrepreneurs and professionals? Just head over to jasonduprat.com/group to join our Facebook family for real-time interactions, insight, and resources to get you one step closer to realizing your goal. We look forward to interacting with you, but until then, we'll catch you on the next episode of the Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy.